guys and gals, me Mudahar, and today we gotta talk about the furries hacking politics. We gotta talk about furries hacking nuclear labs. Now, this week there's been a lot of fun stuff to talk about when it comes to people getting hacked, okay? You work in the vehicle industry? Well, you might realize that dealerships lost $1 billion after CDK Global ended up being hacked, to the point where a $25 million ransom was paid, allegedly, just so these people could get back in business. You ever think to yourself, well, Muda, how bad can things really get when you gotta pay $25 million after your entire industry loses about $1 billion? Yeah, you kind of wish, you paid that earlier, but it's never worth negotiating with cyber terrorists, okay? So today we're looking at a story where the actual hackers didn't really go after money. Everything was politically motivated. So to give an idea, we're looking at a group known as SiegedSec. Now, if you're looking at this uwu right here, that uwu comes from the old Telegram, where SiegedSec, a massive group that has actually disbanded in the last couple days after performing their biggest hack on the Heritage Foundation, where they basically hacked the people behind this, crazy thing like Project 2025, which we'll kind of get into. I'm not a political channel. I'm just here to talk about the actual hack itself. So, as they describe themselves, they are gay furry hackers. And as they've shown in this ASCII art, there are 3 members here: Vio, Cry, and Kit. And over here they've said, oh, it's time for us to disband. Yeah, it's a sudden announcement. We plan to disband later today or tomorrow. But given the circumstances, I believe it's best we do so now for our own mental health, the stress of mass publicity, and to avoid the eye of the Federal Bureau of Intelligence. Now, I'm just going to say for the record, I don't think the FBI is ever going to get it. I think these 3 little catboy furries, they're going to be on the FBI radar for a long time. Because we're going to look at some of their wild hacks, okay? I've been considering quitting cybercrime lately, and the other members have agreed it's time to let this rest. So usually these kind of groups are an amalgamation of talented individuals, and once their mission in life is done, they can basically ride off into the sunset with whatever riches and, fame they've collected, and it is what it is. It's often better to split rather than be caught and effectively start finger pointing at each other. I think these people all know there is no honor amongst criminals, and that's why it's better to go off into your own directions and basically hide rather than remain a unit and consistently have law enforcement, hunting you down. So you can keep scrolling up and up and up, and you can find out that they've basically been hacking a fair amount of crazy things here. For instance, one of their hacks very, recently, July 7th, was actually the NATO portal. So here you can actually open up this image real quick and just show people that they were, in fact, apparently hacking around NATO portals, NATO information. They basically said, we breached NATO portals for the 3rd time. We were able to access tens of thousands of documents from NATO headquarter consultation, command and control portal. Unfortunately, due to technical issues, we weren't able to automate exfiltration of the full set of documents. Yeah, you're reading it right here, ladies and gentlemen. They are, in fact, hacking NATO, all right? One of the biggest defense treaties imaginable, all right? So according to what it actually got leaked out at all was around 845 megabytes of compressed data, information that belonged to 31 actual nations. And this was something that NATO actually obviously was investigating on to make sure if it was actually valid or not. So when they were asked about why did you even hack NATO, was there a political reason for it? Because people kind of assumed maybe it was due to the Russian-Ukraine invasion. What they had basically said was it has nothing to do with that. It's a retaliation against the countries of NATO for their attack on human rights. And also, it's fun to leak documents. Oh boy, the fucking furries are wild, the gay furries. It's bad enough getting hacked in a deadline is one thing, but when you add the furries to it in all the world headlines, that just makes you look even dumber. So here they actually had worked with a group, the threat intelligence firm known as CloudSec, and what they had said was they analyzed the data, and the data actually contained unclassified documents, but more importantly, 8,000 records of the personnel. So names, companies' units, working groups, job titles, business addresses, home addresses, and photos. And that is very dangerous, especially when you're working in a field like NATO, or really any military affiliated field. You don't want your personal home information out there, because then you're involving more people in danger that are more than just you. At least you know when you sign up for the military, you're going to be in danger. But your family, I mean, you try to keep them pretty separated from all of this. And that's where, again, even the people watching this get a little bit confused by these situations. Like, what is this actually doing? So according to these guys, what they said is fuck every country supporting Israel, especially those in NATO. In addition to this new breach, they basically re-released the last two breaches, 8 gigabytes, to ensure the most leaked documents are in circulation. Stay tuned when we leak Joe Biden's DMs. Oh shit. So they actually apparently did leak like gigabytes worth of like NATO documents. I'm actually looking at them right here. NATO v1, NATO v2, NATO v3, all, basically tarred up and spread on the internet. And these are still available to download right now. Now, would I recommend you download NATO documentation and filter through it? Probably wouldn't invoke myself into this pile. Also, this is one of those things where it's like you just want to look at the train wreck. You don't want to jump in the middle of the trains actually impacting. And again, one of their other operations was Operation Israel, all right, where obviously they discussed it, where this is their first Israel run. They breached 2 major Israeli telecommunication companies, Bezek and Kelcom. So anyways, these gay furries ended up revealing the actual personal information of the people that were working in these IT companies and telecom companies. What they had done was they had accessed this administration's portal and took a peek at clientele emails and, emails related to power companies, as they say, construction companies, and very more. So clearly this is a scary situation, right? They're actually touching, at least from one mention, critical infrastructure when we're talking about power companies, right? So obviously then they were doing smaller things like hacking church websites. So it's kind of insane how they go from like, hacking NATO to hacking, the average church or whatever, right? So again, all political motivated crimes here. And again, the one big crime that I wanted to really showcase, it kind of blew me away a little bit, was their attack on the Idaho National Laboratory. So in November 2023, for anybody that was focusing and following the, gay furry hacking group that existed, you saw a headline known as "They breached a nuclear lab," and they basically demanded the nuclear lab not for money or information or anything, but so that they could research cat girls, okay? Yeah, I'm not even joking. Like, I swear to God, this is actually a fucking real demand by an actual hacking group, okay? Like, I'm not even joking. So again, what had happened was the Idaho National Laboratory experienced what they called a massive data breach. Employee information was basically leaked on the entire internet for the world to see. And of course, if you look very carefully at this one image, the Idaho National Laboratory, it is, from my understanding, underneath the purview of the United States Department of Energy. Okay, so this is a very, very, very serious situation. Obviously, when you involve the US government and its entities, that's when their response to you is going to be catastrophic. So what they had said was, earlier this morning, Idaho National Laboratory determined that it was the target of a cybersecurity data breach affecting the servers supporting its Oracle HCM system, which supports human resource applications. INL has taken immediate action to protect employee data. So basically what they said was they were in touch with federal law enforcement agencies like the FBI and the Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency to investigate the extent of the data impacted in that incident. So Oracle's Human Capital Management is effectively a cloud solution software for, again, human resource solutions. So because of one actual issue in the software, it was used to exploit and gain access to employee records who were underneath the human resources management, as you can understand. And according to the Idaho National Laboratory, they confirmed that the release of information was for many current employees, so postdocs, graduate fellows, interns, dependents, and the spouses in those data breaches. So again, all of their personally identifiable information was impacted. And that is the ultimate problem of this situation too, right? Like, no matter what your politics really comes down to, leaking the PII of people who basically do research work every single day isn't really something that is going to be beneficial, all right? It puts them in danger. It puts their identity in danger. Like, for instance, one of the things that any company will say is you should always freeze your credit. When your information is out there for anybody to grab, and I've said this, always contact every single credit reporting agency and just make sure you freeze and tell them what the fuck is going on before somebody uses your identity for seriously nefarious purposes, and that just causes a whole line of headaches down the road. Now, if you look at Idaho National Laboratory and you look at what kind of shit they research, they're very much involved in nuclear energy, integrated energy, and of course, national security. So when you're attacking anything related to nuclear research in the country, that is automatically the biggest spotlight placed onto you. I mean, you are literally hacking a nuclear laboratory at this point. Jesus Christ. So according to the guys here who are hacking the actual laboratory, you can see that they showcase what they consider to be the proof right over here. So in this HCI audit firm, you can actually see that they had employee accounts, addresses, terms, everything personal. And if you look carefully at what kind of information they had their names, email types, ethnicity, gender, every single thing imaginable, their salary, person number, identification, every single thing that you could find, marital status, so on and so forth. And of course, one thing when they asked them about like, hey, what is our demand? The demands that they had right here was if they research creating IRL cat girls, we will take down this post. Now, I don't know what gay furries would have to do with IRL cat girls. It seems a little wild to me, but they also provided leaks and information that you could download and also parse through. And I want to preface this by saying you should not download anything that you see on these leaks or any hacker group because you never know what kind of stuff they actually contain. It is insanity. So some of the quotes they had a month later when talking about this was, all I want for Christmas is the destruction of the government. The gayer the furry, the more a threat to national security they are. Oh boy. Okay, so now that you know that these guys are some of the most unhinged furry hackers you could find, or at least used to be able to find, yet now it moves up to the final act of the story, the Project 2025 hack. Now, if you don't know what Project 2025 is, in the last few weeks, it has gained so much attention in, just discussion across the United States and Canada. Basically, for anybody that doesn't know what this is, it's actually a project that has been detailed by a group known as the Heritage Foundation. Now, if you go to the Heritage Foundation's website, you can see that it is a website that is, again, a think tank for the United States conservative movement. So here you can see that, as you can see, Project 2025, Presidential Transition Project. Now, if you actually read into some of it, they'll tell you what they are building now for a conservative victory is through policy, personnel, and training. So what they've said, it is not enough for conservatives to win elections. If we're going to rescue the country from the grip of the radical left, we need both a governing agenda and the right people in place ready to carry this agenda out on day one of the next conservative administration. And that is what the goal of the 2025 Presidential Transition Project is. So again, people have been kind of parsing through this 922-page PDF of, again, discussing this Project 2025. And again, this is their own group. This is Heritage by themselves, detailing, again, their plans for every single branch of the United States government and what they want to do for it to initiate their conservative ideology. So obviously it contains a lot of stuff that if you're on the left side of politics, you probably won't agree with, okay? And if you're on the right side of politics, you may agree with. Hell, there are some people on the right side, like Donald Trump, who basically say, I don't know anything about Project 2025. I have no idea who is behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they are saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them. If that's Trump saying it, boy, they must be really on the right. God damn, it must be insane. Now, obviously, I haven't looked through it because I'm not a political channel. I think it's better if you want to get your political ideology from somebody that is more expert on that. But what I will be discussing is the hack that took place on the Heritage Foundation. So SiegedSec, a few days ago, said their final hack. Over the past 7 days, we released a hack every day from NATO to Israel. We attacked many, but we have one more gift. We hacked the Heritage Foundation. Holy moly. The Heritage Foundation is a conservative think tank in America, among the most influential public policy organizations. And what they are doing is leading Project 2025. So according to the SiegedSec guys, Project 2025 threatens the rights of abortion, healthcare, LGBTQ plus communities, and that's why they gained access to their database with user data, logs, and juicy info. And they accessed 200 gigabytes of mostly useless files in their servers. So while they won't be leaked, what they did leak was a whole bunch of other information. And what they leaked was the passwords, email addresses, full names of every user, every government employee in the United States, even the Heritage president, Kevin Roberts. So leaking any information like that, goddamn, especially if you're an active government officer, it's some scary shit. So again, a whole amount of stuff had happened. People had started talking about it. There were denials into what had occurred, right? Like obviously the Heritage Foundation, from what I understand, they insisted they were not hacked by any gay furries, okay? That was one of the headlines going around. So obviously, in order to protect their honor, right, the furries had to respond. Many articles and social media posts about these breaches have caught the attention of many people. One of them happened to be the executive director, Mike Howell. Mike Howell reached out to us at first to ask questions to understand our motives and why we breached his organization. And then he proceeded to throw insults, threats, and claimed our existence was against nature. So then they got a chat log, boys, and we're going to read the fucking chat log. So the chat log involves Mike Howell. This is Mike Howell of the Heritage Foundation's Oversight Projects. I'd like to chat. Would you be willing to have a call? And then Vio says, yeah, unfortunately, I'm not able to call. I'll stick to text communications. If you have another platform you'd prefer, I'm opening to adapting how I can. Mike Howell's, this platform's fine. What is that you are seeking or threatening? Vio's like, we want to make a message and shine light on who exactly supports the Heritage Foundation. We don't want anything more than that, not money, not fame. We're strongly against Project 2025 and everything the Heritage Foundation stands for. Is that why you hacked us? Just for that? Yeah, it should be obvious that's all we want based on our history as a hacktivist group. We don't seek money. Again, very politically motivated. Mike Howell, okay, listen to me closely. We're in the process of identifying and outing members of your group. Reputations and lives will be destroyed. Closeted furries will be presented to the world for the degenerate perverts. Oh. Sometimes you gotta imagine like somebody sitting in a suit typing that sentence away on their Signal app, dude. You cannot hide. Your means are minuscule compared to mine. You can now either turn yourself in or you can cooperate. It almost sounds like John Wick almost, right? Like it's crazy shit. None of our members will be identified or outed by your organization built on hatred. The only ones deserving of a destroyed life are those within your organization. You want me to cooperate with what? Spreading misinformation and hatred? We won't turn against our own people. Your own people turned against nature. We will only accelerate the cycle. Nature has no defined set of rules, no authority, just like it should be. Humans can do what they want, and yet you choose to support an organization to harm innocent people. Why? How can you justify this to yourself, knowing you're threatening the rights and lives of other human people? The people you hate could be anyone, your friend, your mom, your sibling. God created nature, and nature's laws are vicious. It is why you have to put on perverted animal costume to satisfy your sexual deviances. It is why you are forced to hide like a coward. You violated our rights and broke the law. You have no standing to discuss such matters. The rights your org violates will be 10 times worse than any crime I've committed. You do not follow God if you use religion as a crutch to hate people. Mike says, would you like to meet virtually or send an emissary to meet me in person? I would like to be left alone without my rights being threatened. Are you aware that you won't be able to wear a furry tiger costume when you're getting pounded in the ass? And the federal president put you in next year. Ooh. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. That was they typed that out. Vio says, such unprofessional language from an executive director. Would you mind if I share this? Please share widely. I hope the word spreads as fast as the STDs do in your degenerate community, furry community. Meow, an image of a cat. Bestiality is a weird sin. It shows you've gone a few clicks too far. What's your opinion on war? My advice is you get out of mommy's basement, iron your shirt, buy a girl a drink, and ask her out instead of Googling new deviances for you to fixate on. Oh man, I'm writing a post about it. Would you like me to immediately post your docs publicly or tease it for a little while first? Whatever you prefer, I'm tied up with the FBI issuing a 2702 order on your social media. You aren't that sneaky for your line of work. screenshot of their Bitcoin wallet transactions. And of course, Vio just keeps joking around. So, yeah, it's one of those things where you get a back and forth between, like, a professional politician adjacent person and a gay furry. And so you hold on. On one hand, you've got a conservative American politician, gay furry, okay, and this is the interaction, okay? If you ever thought you lived in the wrong timeline or like the wrong, the time in history, you're wrong, okay? You lived long enough to see this fucking verbal text transaction play out. Now, of course, you might be like, Muda, that is such an insane level of shit, okay? There's no way that could be real. Bro, Mike Howell literally quote tweeted that exact chat and said, complete and total victory. I forced the gay furry hackers to disband. Now, I'm going to just leave it right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a story of literally epic proportions, okay? Yeah, one of the largest, I guess, think tanks in the country allegedly has been hacked, okay? Now, if that data is ever going to come out, which it probably won't since it's quote-unquote mostly useless, it is somewhat verified that an actual intrusion had occurred based on the exchange between Mike and Vio, okay? Now, looking at this group itself and looking at their history, which is very important why I went into their history, the NATO hack, the various hacks on Israeli, cyber comms, the various hacks on US DOE related enterprises is something that has absolutely put these people not just on a map of fame amongst, hacker circles out there, because these are pretty impressive hacks for the most part. They're pretty impressive intrusions, especially on targets this big. But when you attack targets this big, I have no doubt that sometime in 2025, maybe 2024 even, that Vio and his friends could eventually be outed by the FBI and could absolutely be serving some serious punishment down the road. Because if it's one thing the United States government does not take seriously is attacks on its infrastructure, attacks on its organizations, and especially breaches regarding the politicians that make up the government of the United States. But hey, maybe these guys can ride off into the sunset and get away. Or maybe this is the story of digital Red Dead Redemption 2, where they're just perpetually on the run till the very end of time. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, that's how gay furries hacked the government. Wild story. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.